What's up, Facebook? Lindsay here with Find Your Freedom Coaching, and I am back with the second installment of FAQ Friday, where I'm just going to be going over some of the frequently asked questions that I get. So rather than kind of answering them on one-off situations, I figured I might as well record them and share them with all of you, because if one person has that question, then maybe others do as well. So one of the questions that I always get asked very often is about the 80-20 way of eating, because I always talk about that, which, you know, I share with my clients a lot, like why it is that I follow that, because I think it's the why that's most important. But first, let me tell you about what it is. So the 80-20 way of eating is really eating in a way in which you're eating mostly whole foods 80% of the time, meaning whole foods meaning like a piece of chicken, a sweet potato, rice, a piece of fruit. So like a whole food is like anything that is like that single ingredient. Like when you go to the store, you're purchasing something that like the way God created it, right? It came from the ground, or it grew off of a tree, or like it's a single ingredient product that isn't processed in any way. So if you're eating whole foods 80% of the time, therefore it allows you to eat other processed foods 20% of the time, which still allows you to get the results that you want, right? In fact, it's a much more sustainable approach. And this is the why. This is the reason why I think it's the most important, because it's a much more sustainable approach, and it allows you from just giving up and binging. It gives you flexibility to live your life without feeling like you're sacrificing anyone, because this is where like I get a lot of the people who tell me, well, I thought that if I did indulge in something, that my entire diet would go to shit and I'd immediately gain 10 pounds back within like one meal. And I get this from a lot of people, and that's because maybe that's what's happened in the past for them. That in the past, maybe what had happened, hey Dana, thanks for joining in live, that in the past, maybe what has happened to them is that exactly that they were trying too hard to eat only certain types of foods, eliminating other stuff completely, and then they couldn't take it anymore, and they were just had to binge, and that was it. It was like they never could go back to their diet. The other thing that I hear often is that me and Dana, who just got on live, we're just talking about this, that it's like people think, oh, I have to eat like a rabbit in order to lose weight. That like it's either all or nothing, right? Hey Heather. And the thing is that nobody's perfect, right? These are a lot of the thoughts that I get from people, because this is what has happened for them in the past. And it's my goal as a health coach is to try and like change that mindset for people, and to kind of get them out of, hey Michelle, to try to get them out of the thought process of like everything has to be perfect, because nobody's perfect. And, you know, maybe there are a few people out there that can follow like 100% plan. Like I might know one person, and this is like my entire life. Like I may have met one person who can, and I think it's because they're a raw vegan. Like I literally know one person that has been like 100%, they only eat plant-based foods their entire lives. Like their entire lives. Like that's it. That's the only I only know one person who can do that. So there's probably like a really small percentage of people who can live like that, who that's sustainable for them. They're probably like 0.01% of the entire population. So I'm not even going to talk about them, because it's just not realistic for most people, right? For the majority of us. So for the majority of us, maybe the 80-20 works best. But I also want to talk about that, like, some people have issues with, like, it throws them off if they allow themselves too much, like too many treats, right? So maybe 90-10 will work best for you. Whatever that is, it's sort of like a trial and error to figure out what works best. So that means you can go out to eat 1 to 2 times a week and not have to worry about what you're ordering, what you're doing. Just do whatever you want to do, right? That means you can have dessert or birthday cake or a cocktail when you want to. Doesn't mean that you can have a cocktail every single night, but it means, like, if you want to go out once a week and have what you want, you can do that and not have to feel like don't feel bad about it the next day. Like I said, perfection isn't realistic and it's not sustainable. And it really is what leads people to, like, go on these binges and never start back to eating according to their goals again. Like, it just throws them off completely, and then they kind of give up on everything that they've wanted to accomplish in the first place. So really, it's balance that works long term, and that's sustainable. And this can go for any area of life. So I hope that, like, that's the lesson of this, is that, like, everything is about balance, right? Like, and I never mean balance by saying that it has to be like 50-50, right? Balance doesn't mean that it has to be equal. It just means however you find balance, your own balance, which in this case, it's 80-20 or 90-10 or whatever it is that you found that works best for you. But again, it's balance that works long term in any area of life. So I hope this has answered the question that the person who sent this to me, but I hope that not only this answers that question, but it also gives you a better idea and a better understanding of, like, not setting yourself up for perfection and then ultimately failure. And I hope this was helpful for you guys. All right, thanks a lot, guys. I will catch you next week.